This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
The time now is 4:27 here on your Thursday morning. Thanks for joining me. I'm Meredith Barrick. We begin this morning with a grim milestone. The Circle City hitting 100 homicides for the year. This after a shooting led to the death of one person early this morning. We will have all the details on that homicide, plus a very violent 24 hours on Wednesday. A number of people killed, even more people shot. We are hearing from police and learning more about what all transpired yesterday. And as we mentioned, this comes on the heels of a very violent day yesterday. So our Kelsey Anderson is looking into what community leaders are doing this. What is the mayor saying about these numbers that last year we did not reach until September? So to reach 100 homicides this early in the year is startling for many reasons. We also are going to hear from Reverend Dr. Charles Harrison about what he is doing and what he is seeing in the community. And we also want to speak with Shauna Majors, who is the Director of Community Violence Reduction, about what is being done to reduce violence here in Indianapolis. So we'll have all of that coming up. We do want to take a turn now. Meteorologist Todd Clausen standing by. Todd, people need to be on alert today because the temps are rising out there.
Yeah, you know, these temperatures are continuing to climb a little bit each and every day. We mentioned yesterday how by eventually tomorrow we should be up to near 90 degrees. Today we'll be back into the upper 80s, but today's still one of those days, even though it's going to be a little bit warmer, the humidity still remains fairly low throughout the day. So at least we don't get into that oppressive heat and humidity. Temperatures right now are in the 60s, 66 in Indy, 61 in Bloomington, 63 is the current temperature in Kokomo and Logansport at 61. So there probably is a little more in the way of cloud cover off and on throughout the day today. So instead of mostly sunny, we'll call it partly cloudy. But as I mentioned, the humidity remains low. The winds remain fairly light throughout the day today. And our high temperature will be getting up to right around 86 degrees. Still on track for near 90 tomorrow with the humidity building in for the weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, we will check in with you then. And as many of you know, thousands of people have lost their jobs during the coronavirus pandemic. So here at WRTV, we are looking into the rebound, how we are going to bounce back from this. And one organization that is looking to help out Hoosiers is Dress for Success. We're going to hear how they are helping women get back on their feet if they've lost a job, how they are helping them dress for success and find a new career. Our Lauren Casey will have that story coming up later this morning. But for now, we've got plenty more news, weather, and traffic to start off your Thursday here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:30, the violent streak in Indianapolis continued overnight as the Circle City reached 100 homicides for the year. The details we're learning about the city's latest shooting. And Governor Holcomb is looking ahead to next school year, how the coronavirus is impacting the state's education funding. And joining the fight for justice, how working Hoosiers show their support against racial injustice. 4:30 here on your Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick. Meteorologist Todd Clausen is standing by. And Todd, it has been a hot week, and that trend is going to continue today.
Yeah, you know, yesterday 85 degrees for your high temperature, Meredith. Today, a couple degrees probably warmer, about 86 to 87, maybe even 88 degrees for some of you here across the area with plenty of sunshine. Here are your temperatures currently out there, and that's been the good thing. The overnight periods haven't been as super warm and muggy. We've been able to cool things off into the 50s and 60s. So 66 right now in Indy. It's 58 currently in Crawfordsville, 64 in Muncie, and 61 is the current temperature down in Bloomington. A live look outside shows no visibility issues. Yesterday we built in a little bit in that way of cloud cover throughout the afternoon hours, and we're still dealing with that storm system that's just been such a slow mover off to our southeast. Keeps trying to put clouds back into our area, and every now and then it does throw some clouds back across central Indiana, and today won't be any different. So we'll start off with a good amount of sunshine, and then we'll just turn it partly cloudy throughout the day today. So it's another good day to get outside. The humidity remains low. Just remember that sunscreen if you are going to be out and about. 81 degrees by the noon hour already. On our way up to a high temperature this afternoon, Meredith, of 86 degrees.
Todd, thank you. We want to take a live look here at our traffic now cameras. This is a look at I-65 Keystone Avenue. As you can see, there are some construction crews out there, and you need to adjust lanes because of that. So that's something to be aware of as you head out the door this morning. Another deadly night in Indianapolis, bringing the city to its 100th homicide this year. The latest shooting happening around 1:30 this morning on the northeast side near 35th Street and Keystone Avenue. When police arrived, they found a man suffering from a single gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Here is a look at the total number of criminal homicides for the city through the years. As you can see, this year we are more than halfway to what would be a total for the average year. If we compare to last year, 100 homicides were not reported in Indianapolis until September 13th. The tragic milestone comes after 4 other homicide investigations Wednesday. Last night, a man was killed and another was taken to the hospital after a shooting on Indy's west side. It happened around 9 last night outside an apartment on Cimarron Trail near North High School Road and West 10th Street. Officers found one man dead at the scene, the other victim suffering from gunshot wounds. The second victim is expected to survive. Earlier in the day, police found a woman shot to death and a man in critical condition near a CVS pharmacy on the east side. Police were called around 3 p.m. to the location on Post Road near 16th Street. Investigators believe this shooting actually happened a half-mile away near 21st Street. And as we first told you on GMI yesterday, 2 men were found shot to death in a crashed vehicle around 1:30 in the morning on the northeast side. The car crashed near 46th and Arlington. Police believe a third person may have also been in the car. Anyone with information on any of these cases is asked to call police. Here at 4:33 and now to the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic in the Hoosier State. The number of total cases in Indiana has now surpassed 41,000. The Indiana State Department of Health is reporting 24 new deaths and 264 new cases of the virus. 2,289 deaths in Indiana are now blamed on COVID-19. Marion County continues to have the most cases at more than 10,800. With that, Mayor Joe Hogsett announced last week the county will begin stage 4 of reopening tomorrow. That means movie theaters, bowling alleys, museums, and zoos can reopen at 50% capacity. Bars and nightclubs can also reopen, and retail stores can open at full capacity. We have more details on stage 4 on our website, theindychannel.com. Governor Eric Holcomb says schools in Indiana will not see their state funding cut due to COVID-19. The state is expecting a revenue shortfall of more than $1 billion this year alone. Higher education schools are getting cut by about 7%, but K-12 will be spared. Holcomb says the state will be moving forward with the current budget, which includes a $183 million increase in K-12 funding. He says that they're able to do this because the state has responsibly managed money over the past few years.
This just illustrates or underscores the priority and the importance that we place at this very foundational level, that we were able to arrive here, and how important it has been that we have prudently managed our state, fiscally speaking, through the good times and the tough times.
Holcomb says he hopes this helps district leaders have some certainty as they prepare for the future. Democrats have selected their nominee for Indiana Attorney General. The party named former Evansville Mayor Jonathan Weinzapfel as nominee in a virtual press conference. The 54-year-old beat out longtime state Senator Karen Talion for the nomination. The Republicans will begin their voting on their selection next week through July 9th. Candidates include Republican incumbent Curtis Hill, former U.S. Representative Todd Rokita, Decatur County Prosecutor Nate Harder, and Indianapolis Attorney John Westerkamp. Working Hoosiers showed solidarity downtown, joining a nationwide caravan demonstration against racial injustice. Dozens drove around the State House for the Workers' First Caravans for Racial and Economic Justice. It's a call to action seeking bold policies to confront the 3 crises facing American workers: a public health pandemic, an economic freefall, and long-standing structural racism.
And we're here basically to caravan around the Capitol for economic justice and for racial justice. As we go back into the workplace after stage 4, going into stage 5, we want to ensure that all workers are safe going back into the workplace.
Similar caravans were also held across all 50 states and Puerto Rico. Protesters with Indy 10 Black Lives Matter also organized a peaceful protest. This time it was geared towards families. They drew messages in chalk honoring the lives of Drejon Reed and Mikhail Rose in front of the Indy Police Union headquarters. The two young black men were shot and killed by IMPD officers within hours of each other. Protesters say peaceful demonstrations will continue to pop up around Indianapolis until all the details in the deaths of Reed and Rose are revealed to their families and the public. New video of Rayshard Brooks months before his death in a Wendy's parking lot in Atlanta, sharing his struggle with life after prison. This comes as a former Atlanta police officer is now charged with his murder, prompting some officers to call out sick overnight in protest. ABC's Megan Tevrizian has all the details.
Prosecutors in Atlanta have announced that 2 officers are being charged in connection with the death of Rayshard Brooks. Former officer Garrett Rolfe faces 11 charges, including felony murder, which carries a possible life sentence or the death penalty. Police body and dash cam footage shows Brooks refusing arrest. After police say he failed a sobriety test. Brooks taking one of the officer's tasers, reaching back and pointing the taser at the officer when Rolfe fires.
The city of Atlanta says you cannot even fire a taser at someone who is running away. So you certainly can't fire a gun, a handgun, at someone who is running away.
In a statement, Rolfe's lawyer says his client heard a sound like a gunshot and saw a flash in front of him. Fearing for his safety and the safety of the civilians around him, Officer Rolfe dropped his taser and fired his service weapon at the only portion of Mr. Brooks that presented to him, Mr. Brooks' back. The other officer, Devin Brosnan, is charged with aggravated assault, even though his attorney says he never pulled out a gun. The prosecutor says these photos influence his decision. They show Rolfe kicking the man. Brosnan's attorney calls the charges irrational, and he's disputing the district attorney's claim that Brosnan has agreed to testify against Rolfe. Meanwhile, other Atlanta police officers are now calling out sick in protest. Atlanta police telling ABC News overnight the department is experiencing a higher than usual number of callouts with the incoming shift. In the meantime, Brooks' family says the charges announced Wednesday are a good starting point.
This isn't like a celebration or a victory lap of watching these officers get charged. Nobody's happy, nobody's celebrating because this never should have happened.
The DA says his office interviewed 10 witnesses and watched 8 videos of the Rayshard Brooks shooting, including surveillance, body camera, and cell phone video. Megan Tevrizian, ABC News, San Diego.
Violence in the city often increases over the summer, so many local organizations are working together to prevent that, especially when it comes to young people. That includes ML and Trip Mentoring Outreach Center on the northeast side. The organization just started a youth employment initiative. Kids in the program will beautify the center's grounds on North Sherman Drive and eventually help start a community garden. The center's co-president says the goal is to help keep young people out of trouble now and in the future.
Teach them different life skills and different skills that they can use for a lifetime. They'll be able to support their families and make better decisions and do a lot better for themselves.
Participants will earn a bi-weekly stipend thanks to grant money from the Central Indiana Community Foundation. It is officially summer break for the Colts, but in many ways the vacation might be short-lived. Our Dave first talked to the team about how they're preparing for training camp to start next month. Todd.
And as we go throughout the course of the next couple days, temperatures are going to start to moderate. Today, we're in the mid-80s. Tomorrow, into the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. And then as we head into the weekend, we're talking about the potential of 90 degrees once again on Saturday. And finally, the return of some rainfall across the area. It's all coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV 6.
Hoosiers, only on RTV 6.
A long-awaited plan is now in the works to address the high number of veteran suicides in the U.S. It will be a 2-year effort with initiatives like firearm safety, wellness programs in the workplace, and new barriers near bridges and railroads. The president has signed off on $53 million for the efforts. Other veteran programs outside of the Department of Veteran Affairs will also be eligible for money. Our Hiring Hoosiers initiative works to connect you to job opportunities, training, and education. And today there's a virtual career fair for veterans. It is free and open to all members of the military, both active duty and retired. Spouses and dependents can attend as well. The event is being hosted by DAV and Recruit Military Online from noon to 4 this afternoon. They say industries involved are looking to hire in distribution, logistics, pharmaceuticals, and more. You can find a link for more information on hiringhoosiers.com. Big news for Target employees. The retail chain is upping its minimum wage from $13 to $15 an hour next month. The change will take effect on July 5th. Target pledged 3 years ago that it would implement the raise by December 2020. The new rate applies to 275,000 part-time and full-time workers at Target's discount stores, distribution centers, and headquarters. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, and it hasn't gone up in more than 10 years. Delta and American Airlines making more changes on their flights because of COVID-19. They're no longer serving alcohol. For Delta, you won't be able to order alcohol on board if you're flying stateside or anywhere in the Americas. American Airlines issuing a similar ban, but it will still serve first-class passengers. They say they're also limiting any food and drink service as a way to make sure people keep their masks on for as long as possible on the flight. Take a look at this. A massive bushfire in Arizona burning nearly 90,000 acres and causing people to evacuate. The fire started Friday but has grown to the state's 7th largest fire in history. It was reportedly started by a vehicle fire and quickly spread in the Tonto Basin northeast of Phoenix. At last check, the blaze was only 5% contained. Here at 4:45 on your Thursday morning, meteorologist Todd Clausen joining us. And Todd, we have hardly seen any rain this June. We are going to see some this weekend, however.
Yeah, you know, 14 days in a row today, it will be the 14th day, Meredith, that we haven't seen any measurable rainfall in the city of Indianapolis. I know some people saw some heavier downpours last weekend when we dealt with the remnants of that tropical system. But look at these numbers. Just over an inch of rain has fallen so far in the city of Indianapolis. That puts us 1.31 inches below normal. And here we are on June 18. So things are getting very dry. I'm sure you've noticed if your grass hasn't been watered or you've been driving around, the grass is really starting to dry up. And as we go forward throughout the course of the next couple days, our high temperatures are going to continue to remain above normal. Our average high is in the low 80s, and we'll be in the mid to upper 80s again today. Tomorrow we push towards 90 degrees. Saturday we're close to 90 as well, and then we'll just kind of settle in to the mid to upper 80s. The difference is, though, once we get into the weekend and beyond, the humidity is going to start to come back across the area. So while we have been dealing with warm temperatures, we have not had to deal with high humidity levels across the area really since the end of last week. So temperatures sit right now in the 50s and 60s, a couple 50s there from Greencastle to Crawfordsville, kind of a little cool pool of air. 61 in Bloomington, 63 in Greenfield, and Indianapolis at 66 degrees here this morning. As we work our way throughout the day, we'll start off partly cloudy, and I do think today we'll start to build in a little more in the way of cloud cover compared to what we have seen with high temperatures that will be in the mid 80s later on today. And one of the reasons why we'll kind of cap the temperatures in the mid 80s and don't get close to 90 today is, once again, we have this system of low pressure off to our west that's just trying to throw these clouds and a few showers in our direction, but they run into extremely dry air. So the rain falls apart. We deal with some cloud cover at times throughout the afternoon and evening hours. And if you do have plans this evening, it should be decent out there. Temperatures will fall from the 80s into the 70s once the sun sets, which is at 9:16 here this evening. Tomorrow morning, temperatures very similar to right now, with temperatures in the 60s. And then as we look forward in this forecast, tomorrow we start to heat things up a little more, close to 90 degrees with mostly sunny skies, hot and humid on Saturday. I didn't put the storm icon in Saturday. There could be some storms late in the day, but most of the day is going to be dry. And then some scattered storms in the forecast on Sunday with a high of 89. And those scattered storms will become a theme as we work our way through the middle of next week. And with the showers and storms around, temperatures, Meredith, will run a little bit cooler with highs in the mid 80s.
All right, Todd, thank you. Even though the 2020 Summer Olympics aren't happening for another year, gymnast Simone Biles isn't on vacation. Check this out. She is practicing a new skill that no one has ever done before. Biles posted her attempt at a triple twisting double back on her Twitter. Wow. This move won't be in her Olympic routine, though, because the Gymnastics International governing body says it is too dangerous. She is just incredible. From gymnastics to football, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the upcoming NFL season because of what's happening off the field. But the team is expected to start training camp next month. Sports director Dave First shows us how the Colts players and coaches are now preparing.
It hasn't been your usual off-season. No in-person workouts with countless meetings on Zoom. Heck, no one's even sure if fans will be allowed when games start in the fall. The only constant for Frank Reich has been getting his team used to change.
I'd probably go through an exercise where I got guys trying to visualize what that looks like. You know, so you get rid of that awkwardness the first time you go in and you look around like, man, this is strange.
But here's what we do know. 30-year-old T.Y. Hilton returns for the final year of his current contract.
I want to be a coach for life.
He comes off missing 6 games last season with a calf injury, but having a new quarterback in Phillip Rivers might add a little spring to his step.
I think Phillip brings, a lot of experience, future Hall of Famer, knows the offense really well.
And the Colts think Phillip brings in as much leadership as this team has had in years. And get used to him wearing the hat with the words Nunc Sepi.
In its purest form, I guess it means now I begin. But it's a never-ending beginning. You're always beginning.
And nowhere is that more obvious than beginning with a new team in his 17th year. He'll work with some during the summer. Can't wait to work with all after that.
It's not the matter of going out there and throwing a comeback and throwing a curl and throwing a shallow. I mean, those things are good. We need that work. But it's more a little conversation that comes up, or maybe seeing a guy's body movement going, ooh, I felt how he did that at the top of a route.
Until then, it's all been virtual, which can make things difficult for center Ryan Kelly.
We're doing everything that we can to get live reps. If you visualize it enough, I think it'll come over time to get used to it.
Or even 8th-year veteran and 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, Jack Doyle.
I love hearing him, talk during the meetings, and the way he talks ball is really cool. And I see it the same way he does, I guess. I don't know. So feel a little connection there already, and we'll just build off of that.
Until then, the summer break is on. Training camp at the complex begins in 5 weeks.
I think Colts Nation should be excited. This roster is a good roster, good players, good talent, and equally as important to Colts Nation, these are good men.
The countdown is on. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Dave, thank you. For many boys, trains are quite the spectacle, and for one toddler, they were the start of an adorable friendship. We will introduce you to Jake and Troy after the break. And once again, people gathered in downtown Indianapolis, but this time with a slightly different focus. All new at 5, the State House sit-in focusing on the women fighting against police brutality. It's 4:52. We'll be right back.
Speak for themselves.
Even as the pandemic kept people apart, it was the reason that brought a toddler in Massachusetts a brand new friend. Meet Jake. He loves trains, and every day he and his mom would visit the commuter rail and wave as a big machine went by. Train conductor Troy Thurton took notice and said waving back at Jake made his day, and so began their adorable friendship.
Comes to the tunnel and it honks, then Troy opens the door and say, "Hi, Jake, see you tomorrow."
Okay, that is adorable. Troy will soon be operating on another rail, but he was able to meet Jake and give him a ride before he left, and Jake gave him a drawing to say thank you. That is quite precious. Todd, I don't know how you're going to follow that one up.
I can't, so I might as well just give you the forecast because definitely not as cute as that. Great story to see. All right, 86 today is your high temperature. Still low humidity, so not a bad day in the forecast. Just a very typical summer-like day. Speaking of summer, it officially arrives on Saturday. That's the summer solstice with a high temperature of 91 degrees. Most of Saturday is dry, just a chance of a few spot storms late in the day. Better storm chances for Father's Day, and then into next week. We'll talk all about it coming up in the next half hour of Good Morning Indiana. Stay with us. The time now is 4:57.